What's up everybody, Faberglass from MMA Talk here, and we are continuing our Canadian MMA awards for the year 2019. Today we are looking at the performance of the year in Canada. So the best performance by a single athlete, a single fighter in an event that took place in Canada in 2019. Before we get going with the top 10, I've got 5 honorable mentions. Serge Dancos versus Alexandre Gomez at TKO 48. Kyran Cameron versus Julius Trimmeliti at BTC 6. Tony Laramie versus Sam Debalke at PFC 10. Chad Anheliger versus Brady Hiestand at Rise FC 5. And Derek Boyle against Mike Scarcello at Unified 39. Let's get going with the top 10. We've got at number 10 Jamey-Lyn Wessels against Corinne Laframboise at TKO 48. That was a surprising matchup because Corinne was mostly known as the grappler, Jamey-Lyn mostly known as the striker, and it's Corinne who had the best start. She even rocked Jamey-Lyn on the feet, but as the fight advanced, Jamey-Lyn took the momentum back and she was able to submit the now brown belt world champion in no-gi Corinne Laframboise to get the win in a performance that deserves to be ranked in this list, so I've got it at number 10. At number 9 we've got Teshay Gautreau against Paul Fisher at BTC 6. That was such an amazing performance for Gautreau because it was his pro debut and he looks so polished with his strike. He looked like he was already a striking veteran. He's really athletic and explosive too, so for a fighter that was making his pro debut, it's one of the most impressive performances I have seen, and that's why I decided to put him on the list at number 9. At number 8, Isaac Blais against P.O. Bouffard, TKO 48. Two of the best prospects at 135 pounds in Quebec were facing off in their second pro fight only, and the way that Isaac won that fight easily in the first round with a rear naked choke just shows how good of a prospect he is. And like I've been saying, I'm not too worried about P.O. Bouffard that he's like gonna lose his next fight. I'm pretty sure he's gonna win them. So to see Isaac beat a prospect like P.O. Bouffard that easy, that early in his career, that was such a great performance. So I've got him at number 8. At number 7, I've got Achilles Estremadura against Carson Frey at BFL 63. Carson Frey came into that fight as a promotional champion from another organization. He was 8-3 in his MMA career. It was only Achilles' 5th pro fight and he went the distance with him and won that fight handily. It was such a great performance and it really proved Achilles' prospect status. He's gonna be one of the next bright Canadian stars in MMA. I'm pretty sure about that after seeing a performance like that, so that's why I add him at number 7 on the list. At number 6, it is Dejan Kajic against Eric McConico at BFL 61. It's kind of a reverse Achilles against Frey because McConico was the hot prospect. He was undefeated in 5 pro fights, came in to fight the veteran Kajic, and Dejan had already won a fight in 2019, but it's really that fight against McConico that put a stamp on the amazing year he just had. He defeated the prospect by knockout in only 2 minutes and 34 seconds to claim the belt and become the 175-pound champion for BFL. Like I said, Kajic had an amazing year and that was the greatest performance amongst all his performances this year. So I had to put him on the list, give him a shout out for this great year and this great performance. At number 5, Malcolm Gordon against Yoni Sherbatov at TKO 47. Listen, that fight didn't start well for Malcolm Gordon. He got rocked on the feet, was kind of pursuing the takedown, but it was telegraphed and Yoni saw it coming, but he kept fighting for it and ultimately got it. And when they hit the mat, that was 2 different levels. Listen, both guys recently had their black belts in jiu-jitsu before that fight, so people were looking forward to see who would have the better of who on the ground. And as soon as it hit the ground, Gordon passed the guard, took his bag immediately and choked him out in a real good performance to really establish himself as the top flyweight in Canada and a guy that could move on to maybe the international level, to the UFC or 1FC or something like that in the near future, and who would probably do great. So Malcolm Gordon, I got him at the 5th spot for the performance of the year. At number 4, we've got Laramie against Cruz at PFC 12. So Laramie had been doing great for the past year. We have seen him in great performances, great fights, and we were wondering, is this guy ready for the UFC? He answered that question when he fought Cruz. Cruz came in as a 7-3 prospect who had wins in Bellator and LFA amongst other leagues, and he was really looked upon as one of the greatest prospects in America, and he came in to fight Laramie, and it wasn't even close. Laramie dominated the stand-up, he dominated the ground, he took him down when he wanted to. He had a real good methodical 5-round performance that just showed us that this guy is ready for the UFC. Laramie needs to get picked up by the big leagues sooner rather than later, and that was the performance that showed it, so I got him at number 4 on the list. At number 3, Ciryl Gane, Roggers, Souza, TKO 48. Listen, when you just have the chance to see somebody like Ciryl Gane fight locally, close to your home, even a couple hours away from your home, you got to go there and watch it. This guy is special. He's probably the next heavyweight champion. I have said many times that he's the future of the heavyweight division, and we had the chance to see him compete right here in Quebec 3 times before he went on to the UFC. His Souza fight was the last one. He demolished him. It was absolutely crazy, and is the 3rd best performance of the year in Canada, Ciryl Gane. At number 2, we got his teammate Taylor Lapilus against Nate Maness at TKO 48. He was winning that fight, he was executing a great game plan, but it was still a close one. Maness was in it, they were trading back and forth. It was a technical fight, it was real good performance, but Lapilus was edging him. You could see that he was probably in advance on the judges' scorecard, but still he kept looking for the finish, and he placed a beautiful side kick to the body that folded Maness in half for one of the greatest finish. I think 2nd best knockout of the year. I put him on my list, so maybe 2nd or 3rd, because the Josh Hill knockout was crazy too. So but what a performance. This fight was a UFC level fight. Maness was super close to signing with the UFC as the TKO champion. Lapilus had been with the UFC, had even have a winning record in the UFC, was 3-1, just didn't re-sign his deal, and I think he wanted to move on to boxing or something like that, but now he's fighting MMA. He won in TKO, he won in Arais, and we hope to see him in the UFC real soon. But his performance against Maness was absolutely wonderful and proved that he's one of the best fighters in the world in his weight class, so I've got him at number 2 on the list. And at number 1, it was a real easy pick this year. Tristan Connelly against Michel Pereira in Vancouver, UFC Vancouver. I'm kind of surprised that there weren't more UFC fights that made it into my list. The Cowboy performance against Iaquinta was good in Ottawa, but still, I feel like we've seen great UFC performances in Canada this year, but none better than Tristan Connelly in his hometown on his debut on really short notice against one of the most terrifying guys in the UFC. Even if he's got cardio issues, which we didn't know, they got exposed in that fight. We had a doubt. We knew that this was probably what was the deal with Pereira, but we didn't really know before Tristan Connelly just exposed him. And Connelly, he's a 155 guy, fought at 170 against a guy that fought most of his career at 185 and even up to 205, and Connelly just stepped in, and I know that like he wasn't even the contender that was written to step into that fight. He had to do some pushing because he was like one of the best lightweights in Canada, but he had like I think a 13-6 record, something like that, like good record. He was beating the best guys on the regional scene back in Canada every time, but he was not really on people's list of contenders that were next to get into the UFC. When you look at it, you look at like younger fighters with smaller records, but like 8-1, 7-2s, like 10-2s, 10-3s, stuff like that. And Connelly, like even though he was one of the best in Canada, he was not like the favorite to be the next Canadian to enter the UFC, and he did some pushing, finally got the spot, and man, how did he deliver? He was able to not get hit by some spinning backflipping shit from Pereira, and he was just able to escape all of that, work his game, take the fight down, put some immense pressure on the guy and gas him out completely. And when the fight was over, there was no doubt in nobody's mind who won that fight. It was Tristan Connelly. It was the best performance of the year. It was one of the greatest moments of the year in MMA as a Canadian. So shout out to him. It's certainly not the last time you hear me talking about Tristan Connelly in the year ends list, so shouts out to him. He's got the performance of the year. That was amazing, and that's the list. Leave us a like if you liked it. Comment to know, man, am I right, am I wrong, which performances I forgot. You must know too that I'm from Quebec, I'm from Montreal, and I do not get to see every MMA fight. There are some fights that just happen and they're not televised, or there's like some pay-per-view links that I can't really access or stuff like that, so I'm not able to see every fight in Canada. So there must be some good performances that I've just not seen and that I've forgotten, so just put them in the comments. That'd be great too. I want to give a shout out to my boy Charles White's Beat for the music. Follow him on Instagram and on YouTube. He's at Charles White's Beat. It's written on the screen. Just go and follow him. Thanks a lot for the music, my man, and we'll see you tomorrow for the next list.